Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 600. Imagine fireworks. Imaginary. Look, we can do the...
I was just going to be like jazz hands.
Oh, okay.
That's all I got. I could spend time and effort and put this in the graphics in the post, and it's not going to happen. It's just not.
This is going to be the last episode of 2022,
Yep.
So we are looking forward to 2023, but it's nice to do 600 at the end of a year.
Yeah.
I am Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is Thursday, the 29th of December, 2022. Laura and I both use the she/her pronouns, and it's been a couple weeks.
It's been, we took a week off for the holidays. I went to Knoxville and spent time with family, which was lovely. And Pearl got super spoiled because that is what she does.
Because she's as close to a grandchild as is going to happen with Laura.
For my parents, that is true. So she gets all the spoiling when she goes and visits. And it's kind of nice because, I would wake up and take her out and then go back to bed. And then my parents would be like, Pearl woke us up to take her out. And I was like, oh,
Sucker.
did she? I hope everyone had a lovely and safe last couple weeks. There's been some inclement weather across the United States, and I hope everyone is home safe or just safe in general. But, yeah. What is going on? I haven't seen you in forever, it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, like Laura said, she went to spend some time with her family, and this is the time of year with my company. Our business is 24/7 all the time. We don't close, and because of the structure of how everything ties back to sort of a central hub tech-wise, there's change freezes, so basically no one can make any changes to any system.
Because this is a super busy time.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people will use any excuse not to spend time with their family.
But also people are off work, so...
Right.
Or
some people
traveling.
don't have families. Some
Yeah.
people just like being, at casinos. And so, basically we can't do anything during this time period except support if something breaks.
And there's also lots of sports events going on with college bowls and everything else. So I would think online
Sports betting
would be
big deal.
huge.
So basically I've been off since a week ago.
Nice.
Roughly. I've hopped on a couple times just when my boss wanted something. But aside from that, I've been sleeping until 10:30.
Nice.
And doing some crafting. I'm rewatching Call the Midwife.
Oh.
So.
I'm rewatching I'm watching seasons 12 through 14 of Taskmaster for the first time. So, yeah. And reading. Lots and lots of reading, which I did not update in the show notes because I forgot. But I'll talk about it when we get there.
Okay.
I'll pull out my Kindle.
Start talking about what you're working on?
I am at the last ribbing on a second sock. This is a Knit Spin Farm sock in Pick Strawberries Day. So this is the second one. This is the first one. I decided this year that I was not going to do a ton of Christmas knitting. So these, I actually purchased something for my mom. I purchased a Lumos light, which is knitting light. So that Jillian Marino recommended in the latest Knitty issue. And I got one for my mom and one for me, and they should be here soon. But my mom does a lot of campaign and stuff, so I thought that would be a more helpful. And also she
hand binds her quilts.
She hand binds her quilts, and she often does that while watching something on TV with my father. And my father doesn't like the lights super bright when he's watching TV, which is totally understandable. So I thought this would give her another option. So these are going to be her Mother's Day present. Look at me getting ahead.
Yeah.
I did knit some socks for my brother-in-law. I finished those, and I had already knit some socks for my sister back last year. So Beck and Matt got hand knit socks, but Mom and Wheezy got store-bought presents. Wheezy wanted a money belt and a map and some other stuff for their trip to Spain that they're taking later this year. So yeah, almost done on the ribbing of the second sock, and then I will put them away and they will be ready for Mother's Day, which is exciting. So that is the first thing, and it is living in my fat squirrel bag with holiday kittens on it, which makes me very happy. And then the second thing that I am working on, I started working on like the 20th when I finished my brother-in-law socks. And this is a spoiler, so if you bought the Woolens and Nosh Advent sock kit and you have not, I mean, it's a spoiler if you're like 10 days behind like I am, but if you have not touched it at all, you might want to look away for a couple minutes. So Woolens and Nosh does an Advent skein, and it is wound, and there's two, she divides it in half. So you could knit 2 socks at the same time, and you just pull out from this bag so it remains a secret. And it also comes with a coordinating mini. And this is the start of a sock. So the theory is you knit a day, like this pink would be a day, and then when you get to the grayish purple in between, you would stop for that day. So that way you know where to stop. And it's just really, really pretty. It's a Targhee fingering weight. I stopped here because I was on a Zoom call with family. We Zoomed with my father's family on Christmas Day, and I was like, that's getting, like, it looks like it is
ready for a heel.
Ready for a heel. So I have a coordinating mini in purple. And I am probably going to do a short row heel or something like that out of this mini. But yeah, I love Targhee. It's one of my favorite breeds of wool, especially for socks. It's nice and bouncy, and Woolens and Nosh always does a fabulous job. So
it's a very cool
I think this is gonna be my
to prevent like individual 1,000 ends from
yes.
mini skeins.
So I think I'm gonna do this instead of mini skein kits for the most part for Advents from now on. I really like this, and also 400 or 500 yards versus however many minis entering the stash. I have a load of minis, so I don't need to buy more minis. That's what I'm telling myself. The last thing is I cast on a sweater. This is the back or the front. Oh, I can't remember which you start with. It's just the little bit of ribbing, because it's a split ribbing of Weekender Light.
Oh yeah, okay. This is an Andrea Mowry pattern.
It is an Andrea Mowry pattern. So there's the ribbing all spaced out. Oop. It is out of another Crafty Girl. I had swatched for this, I think, and shown the swatch on the show or in one of our Patreons. When I measured the swatch, it was way bigger than this needed to be. So it was knit on size 3s. The pattern calls for 4s. I had to go down to 2s, and therefore the ribbing is done on 1s. So this is going to be a long-term project. I worked on it for an hour the other night. This is an hour's worth of work, and it's half the sweater.
And eventually,
so
like after the ribbing, you join it in the round.
Yeah,
so.
I cast on another half of ribbing and then join it in the round. But I am using these new needles from Skacel, Addie, and they are unicorns. EWECORN. So they've got like a textured tip. It's just a spiral texture. They've got the blunt tip like a regular Addie, but they also have the split cord where you can insert a lifeline really easily, and they've got a pink cord. So I'm giving them a try. I haven't worked with a duller Addie in quite a long time, so it's an experience. But yeah, I think they'll be fine for this.
Yeah, as long as you're not doing like intricate lace, it's usually fine.
And I got them to knit socks on, really, because they're size 1, so I can use my sport weight sock yarn. My other, these ones are getting pretty worn down. So, you know you're a sock knitter when within 2 years you've worn off all the coating on your needles.
And usually for me, it's like the one I use in my right hand, presuming that I frequently keep the same one in my right hand.
So these are the new needles.
It gets like brassy.
Yep, that's what's happening. And bent.
Yeah.
So, yep, and this is the yarn. I am doing, so normally I would alternate skeins, but I don't want to have to weave in 4 extra ends.
Yeah,
So for the
I don't think
ribbing,
it would
I'm
matter.
doing, because it's going to change, it's only half anyways, and it's knit back
Plus,
and
your
forth.
knits and purls are already breaking up the color.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
think it's perfectly fine for ribbing, not to alternate.
Yep, so I'll start alternating once I get further on, and that is in a Fat Squirrel mushroom bag. And that is it for me for works in progress.
Okay.
There's 3 things.
I have a couple things. A couple things you haven't seen, well, you, the general you, haven't seen before. The first is living in one of my Hikari handmade bags. I really love these because I don't have to worry about the needles poking through. They're really like thickly made.
Yep.
So I am knitting, oh, it's on the inside. I'm knitting through my SSK 2022 stash.
You are amazing.
So this is Urban Girl Yarns in the Marsha P. Blackburn colorway, I think is what it's the Pride 2021, whatever that was. Marsha P. Johnson.
Yeah, Blackburn's the terrible rep for Tennessee.
You are 100% right. I'm going to correct that in the show notes because I've got it wrong there. It's Marsha P. Johnson.
Where Marsha P. Johnson was one of the origination of the
Stonewall
riots.
Yeah.
Trans woman, black trans woman.
So this is one of Shelley's colors that I really liked and got this past year. And when you have a highly variegated skein of yarn and you don't know what to make with it, if you're me,
you go with sock
head. You go with a sock head. So that's what I'm making. So I did the ribbing on 2s and I'm doing the body on 4s, which is I think one size up from what the pattern recommends. That's typical of me.
I love Urban Girl Yarns too because her skeins are substantial. It's got more than 400 yards.
Yeah, I want to say it's
I think it's 500.
I think it's 480 or something like that. 480.
Yeah.
It's 125 grams. So, trying to cram that back in there. So, yeah, this is just something I've worked on a bit here and there, not a ton. I'm not in any hurry. It's not for any specific person. But, yeah, I like it. It's striping and flashing in a cool way. Yeah, I know it does. But every time I make a sock head, for me, it ends up being too big.
Okay.
Like, I keep going down a size for the ribbing, and it still ends up stretching itself too wide. So this time, I think I cast on like 120.
Wow.
100. Or yeah, I think 120.
It'll fit
stitches.
someone if it doesn't fit you.
And I think it recommends 144 for an adult. But yeah, if it doesn't fit me, it'll fit somebody. But I'm relatively confident it will fit me.
Good.
I'm also using wooden needles because it's all I could find in a 16-inch size in my stash. So this is a good thing to remember next time I see Brick House is to get a couple. I've got one in a size 3 that's this size.
Yeah.
But not in a size 4. So, so yeah, that's one thing. Another thing that I'm working on that you guys have seen before.
I have to go down to 1s for my ribbing on a sock head.
Is Bloom. This has been a very folded pattern. So this is a simple sort of lacy top for spring and summer. I'm on the final chart, but I have to go through the chart more than once. And I'm knitting this out of Camellia Fiber Company.
Oh, look at you.
In the light.
You are using up all your SSK stash.
Yeah, so this I got at SSK as well. It looks a little more green in person than it's showing up on camera.
It reminds me of like a flax or wheat color.
And I've joined it in the round. I'm about 5-ish, 6 inches past the underarm.
Oh, cool. You've made good progress.
So
it's patterned on the front, stockinette on the back.
Correct. And it's set so that the back slowly creeps its way towards the front.
Yeah.
So at the very bottom, towards the cast-on edge, you'll see the stockinette sort of curving around towards the front. Because I think you decrease like 2 stitches every 8 rows or something. Like it's not a great
Do they have you cast back on the other side or something? Or is it just...
You increase on the back and decrease on the front.
Gotcha.
So yeah. I think this will be cool. I'm excited to actually try it on. It has alpaca in it, which is not something I typically wear, just because I'm so like warm-natured, you know.
I think the lace is a good way to combat that, though.
Yeah, and it's mixed with flax and silk.
Yep.
So I think that it's going to be cool, neat, interesting to try. And then I've got one more thing.
Ooh. What else do you have?
I really felt like crocheting, but I couldn't pick something. I have such a problem making decisions when it comes to patterns. And with crochet, it's extra hard just because crochet eats more yarn for the same like size garment. If you're thinking about making like a sweater,
Yeah.
Crochet is going to eat about 1/3 more yarn than knitting would because it's 3-dimensional.
It's
whereas
not
knitting is
two-dimensional like knitting is, yeah.
So it uses more yarn, and I just couldn't make a decision. So I was like, I'm just going to get some yarn from Michael's and make a granny square blanket. Somebody will take a granny square blanket. So
absolutely.
So I'm using this Mandala. It's a line brand. It's acrylic, which means it's machine washable. So it's different grays. This is actually a bad representation because it's much lighter than it typically is. But yeah, it's just a couple shades of gray and one that's sort of an olivey greenish color. And
how many skeins have you used so far? Ooh, that's pretty.
I've used 3 so far. And
nice.
I've got this one and 2 more. So it'll be a big one. It'll be a bedspread size. And I'm not making any efforts for the pattern or the stripes to be in any specific sequence. I'm just taking them as they come.
Yeah. It'll be nice.
But yeah, it's a good brainless craft for when Carly's jumping all over me.
I was gonna say, if Carly pulls out some stitches,
right.
It's fine. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's very quick to fix. And I think I know who I'm going to send this to. So, yeah. So that's the other thing that I'm working on.
Cool.
3 crafts at the moment. I do have some finished stuff. Do you have anything finished?
I mean, I finished the socks for my brother-in-law, but immediately gave them to him and didn't get... Nope. Oh. I got pictures in progress, though, so I'll send you a picture in progress. They were out of String Theory Colorworks in their merino cashmere base, and I used the vanilla is the new black pattern.
Maybe you can get a picture, Beck, to get a picture.
Sure, I can try.
I mean, if not, we'll put the in progress one. Okay, well, I have a couple of finished things. One I've had for a few weeks and just kept forgetting to show. So I had Michael install some extra drying racks in my bathroom, and so if I remember, I'll put a link in the show notes. By the way, everything we talk about is generally in our show notes. Our show notes are on our website, which is TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. But anyway, these, like, when they're not in use, they fold completely against the wall, and they're like an inch thick, so they're very unobtrusive. But when they are in use, they fold out, and
yeah,
you can hang things on them. But I needed like somewhere to put the clothespins.
Oh, perfect.
So I made a little pouch.
That would be great for a spinning wheel too.
Yeah, it would be. It would have to be probably a little smaller. I'd scale it down a little bit, but yeah. So this will go on a hook in the bathroom, and the clothespins will go in here. I think I did everything wrong on this the first time. It's got like it's got a batting in it, and because the pattern, it does explicitly say what to do, but I interpreted it incorrectly, and so I like sewed the interfacing to the right side of this.
Oh.
And after I did it, I'm like, there's no way to flip that because you sewed it to both the top and the bottom. What did you do?
Yep.
So it took twice as long as it should because I was just not paying attention. So yeah, little tiny pouch. It's called the Storage Pod. And I think it's by Fabric Editions, but again, it's linked in the show notes. And it's a free pattern. So
nice.
I liked it. I will probably make more
It's a great way of using up scraps, too.
Yeah, maybe I'll make some for SSK for like
Yeah, that'd be
prizes or
sweet.
something. And then I've made a couple other things, although one isn't technically done because I have to fix it. So this one is the Concord t-shirt.
Ice cream top. I love it.
By Cashmerette. The fabric is from Fashion Fabrics Club. Mostly, I just get a bunch of emails from them. Occasionally, I'll actually look and find stuff. But it's because you're buying it online, and I'm not always good at gauging what 5 ounces per yard means, like as far as thickness. So
I think like find one that you like, and then know how thick that is,
Yeah.
and then go from there.
I just haven't spent a lot of time in it yet. So it's just a plain long sleeve shirt.
I love it.
It's got a little bit of a split at the hem, intentionally.
Nice.
And this is by Cashmerette, so she's got built-in like cup sizing into the pattern itself.
Oh, fun.
Because she's a large-chested person, and so her patterns all have the cup sizing built in. This is actually the first thing I've sewn from Cashmerette, and I like it. I think it fits really well. It's actually almost tunic length. Like I could almost wear this just with
Nice.
tights. That's also because I'm short, but
I also think that would just be a good way to build a basic wardrobe.
yeah, because and there's modifications for like a V-neck, short sleeve,
Yeah.
like crop, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm happy with this. And then the other thing which I have to fix.
Uh-oh. You only had 2 seams left when I talked to you earlier.
Yeah. So it's this pattern Made by Ray, and it's the emerald dress, and it's cut on the bias, which means that when you lay your fabric, it uses a woven fabric, so when you lay your fabric out, right, and it's horizontal, instead of laying your pattern pieces out in a way to get as much, like cut as much out of the fabric as you can, instead of laying your fabric pieces like this, you're actually laying them at a 45-degree angle. And the reason that you would do that has something to do with drape.
And stretch, right?
Well, it will to some degree. Like wovens, generally speaking, don't stretch unless the warp or the weft is made with a stretchy like thread.
Yeah.
Words. But generally speaking, wovens don't stretch a ton, but just the drape will help with it being less restrictive. The problem is that the markings for the underarm and the pocket were the same.
Oh.
And as a result, like they were both these specific kinds of circles, and as a result, I put the pockets directly under the underarm.
So you just need to move them down.
Yes, except everything's enclosed in French seams.
Oh, shit.
So...
Sorry.
So it's going to take some time to fix. And of course I made it hard on myself by picking you would be surprised how few fabrics that aren't just a solid color are not directional.
I would just close those pockets and add patch pockets. Don't you think? Just close that seam.
It would drive me crazy.
Okay. Never mind.
So this is the fabric. It's something I got from Joann's for like $4 a yard. It wasn't anything fancy.
I think it's fun though.
I did make an effort at pattern matching on the front, and it's mostly fine until a little bit lower than here, and at that point I'm just like, whatever, I'm not putting that much effort into it. But yeah, the pockets are way up here and they should be down here, so I have to unpick that, which is not going to be my favorite thing that I've ever done. And also this thing has so many facings. Jesus, every seam has a facing, and it's time consuming. But I do, like, I'm traveling to Vegas in February for a work thing.
Oh, fun.
And it's partly like a lecture and workshops. And I would like to bring a mostly handmade wardrobe, just because I'm weird like that. So,
but also it's got to be more business.
Right.
And when you work from home, you don't have to invest in a lot of business clothing.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't like me wearing my sweatpants. I mean, I don't know if they fire me for it, but I probably will just not take that chance. But yeah, so I have to unpick all of this and move it down, which is annoying, but fixable. And this was just sort of the muslin. I'm going to make a couple. I've got a couple of yardages that are somewhere over there that are like a crepey sort of linen that I think would be good. Presuming I have enough yardage, because I squeaked by on yardage with this and I have 5 yards. But pattern matching requires more yardage because you have to figure out where everything will line up.
If you have solids.
Yeah, with solid, and that's what these are, is they're solids.
Nice.
So hopefully that'll make it easier. So anyway, that's what I've been working on. I've got some watercolor, but why don't you show some of your spinning?
Okay.
You got a ton of spinning.
I have been participating in Jillian Marino's 100-day spin along, which is for her Patreons. Love her Patreon. It is great. So I have been spinning every day in the month of December. I have not missed a single day. I've been spinning at least 15 minutes, which is pretty awesome. None of these are finished. I did not have time to give them a bath. I just plied yesterday. And this morning, when you give a bath, it evens out the twist and you lose around 10%. So they don't look as nice as my skeins usually look, but they will. And they also, that one I put on later. They also have wristbands on them.
Labels, yeah.
Yep. So this is from at SSK 2022. We did a baby pool full of mini bits of fiber. People divided up braids of fiber, made minis, threw them in this baby pool. I have some great pictures and videos on my Instagram, which is Lala Knits, of Jillian Marino, because she organized the whole thing, and me throwing minis at Jillian's head, as you do. But it was a really fun experience. I took all my minis and spun them just end to end randomly, and this is what I got.
You
so
actually
it's a
got
2-ply.
a pretty color cohesive.
Yeah, it's interesting because one on the bobbin, one looked much brighter and then the other one was much darker, but it seemed to work, and I just grabbed them at random from the bag. There was no planning.
Yeah.
So it's a fun 4-ounce skein that will be getting a bath soon. The second thing that I finished is some Into the Worlds. This is Falkland in the Quartz colorway. This is an old braid that I inherited from my mom. She gave it to me at SSK. I spun it kind of chunky for me. It is 200 yards of a 2-ply, so a nice like worsted / Aran. So chunky for me, not chunky for Leslie. But yeah. And I added a little bit less ply twist than I normally do, because when you spin chunky, you don't need as much twist. So I think it is going to poof out quite a bit after it's wash. And sometimes hand spun does that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing is in September, the club from Into the World was this. So this is Cordale. And it is, the first two were spun on my Ladybug and plied on the mini spinner. This was spun on the Daedalus Starling. It is the All the Rage colorway, and it is 180 yards of a 2-ply. Cordale's a little bit of a weightier fiber, so you're not going to get as much yardage as you would with like a merino. So it is like a true worsted, I would say. And it also will get its bath. And then what I still have to ply, I have a lot of stuff left to ply, but I have 3 bobbins of this. This is Burning Bush from Wound Up Fiber Arts in a superwash merino. This is going to be for socks, so I'm excited for that. That was spun on the Daedalus as well. And then this is merino silk. Oh, it glows. It makes me so happy.
Wow, that is bright.
From David of Southern Cross Fiber. I'm in his fiber club. I get 8 ounces a month. So this is going to be, and I finished both of these, so this is going to be 8 ounces of merino silk in Conversations with Smog, which is a Hobbit-based colorway. And I think I'm going to get at least 1,000 yards, probably more. So we will see.
Did you just recently rejoin his club?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought you had stopped a while back.
I did, and then I rejoined it in September.
Mm.
And you didn't know about it because I was paying for it myself.
Yeah, I was just curious because I don't remember having seen any recently.
Yep. So you haven't been diving in my fiber stash at my house recently.
That's true.
But yeah, he's doing like dragons recently. He did a great How to Train Your Dragons colorway, which made me think of you because I know that's one of your favorite films.
Animated films,
Yep.
yeah.
And that just arrived actually with my mail that I had held. Usually his stuff arrives, it's coming from Australia.
Right.
It's one of my favorite clubs. I'm in 4 fiber clubs. So I'm in Into the Worlds, which is great. I feel like if you are looking to explore different fibers, they do a bunch of different types of fibers. Hello Yarn, which has a very more scrummy green and purples and blues and
It's one of
like
those
a baby
that
blue.
typically when you see it, you're like, oh yeah, that's an Adrian color.
Yep.
Like,
and then I'm in David, who does things that occur in nature usually pretty well. He does more subdued colors. That's not one of them, but
yeah.
I mean, but that reddish fire could definitely occur in nature. It's supposed to represent Smog and his pile of gold that he's laying on. And the original
dragon.
Yeah.
Oh.
The original Hobbit illustrations, and then Knitspin Farm, which is a bat club. So I get a little over a pound of fiber a month now, which means that I really got to kick up my spinning. But yeah, I like all of them for different reasons, and David does a lot of Australian breeds usually, so that's super fun as well. But yeah, so that's my spinning. I filled out all but 3 squares on my bingo card for Jillian, so I have those 3 left to do. So I probably, one of them is ply all the things.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to finish up plying by the end of the month.
I kind of feel like you've
End of the
checked
year.
that box, friend. You plied, what, 12 ounces so far?
In
Just
the last couple days.
couple days.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing okay with my spinning. I got a new wheel. I got an original Reeves, which is really, really pretty. Leslie got to see it the other day. And I've been spinning some fleece that I've been hand combing on there.
Yeah, did you get any of that done while you were at your parents'?
Yeah, I got 2 ounces hand combed and spun. It was on the bobbin.
Cool.
Yeah. So if I could do an ounce a week on that, that would make me very happy. It's definitely a long-term project. I think part of the reason why my wrist is super grumpy right now is from combing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm giving it a break and plying all the things instead. But
Still using that wrist, though.
I know. But I'm trying to take frequent breaks, because that is something that needs to happen. Anyway. But yeah, that's it for me for spinning. But you have watercolors, right?
Yeah, I don't have a lot because typically when I'm doing watercolor is when I've got 5 minutes of a break from work.
Yeah.
And I'll do, a layer or something. And I've been downstairs mostly, except when I've been sewing.
You're doing a lot of crocheting.
Yeah, so I don't have a lot. I think I've got 3. Let's see. Yeah. I know I've showed you this one. I don't think I've showed this one on the podcast. If I have, sorry, but I really like this one. I really like the little foamy texture I got with the waves. That makes me really happy. This one is supposed to be Aurora Borealis.
Ooh,
but
I like that.
The water, there's a couple of problems with it. But, I couldn't have done this a couple months ago.
I love that one.
And then this one I've had to redo twice because I'm bad at following instructions, but it's like a reflective mountain scene. But again, got a spot here where like the water didn't do what I wanted it to do. And it's hard to recover from that.
Did you open your presents from Mom yet?
I did. I've already sent her a note.
My mom got Leslie watercolor paper and watercolor stuff.
Yeah, and some Derwent ink tints pencils, and she got the paint too, but it hadn't arrived by the time
Yeah.
Laura had left. But yeah, it's like you can permanently color, like dye fabric with these pencils and paints, which it looks really cool. So I'm excited to try that out. I haven't yet, but
She just told me about the watercolor paper.
the paper's really cool. Did you look at it?
No, she was wrapping stuff on when I got
Okay.
there.
Well, it's like I forget what brand it is. I'll have to look, but it comes in a big pad like a watercolor block would. And it's got a portion in the center that's the actual like canvas, which is like, I don't know, 5x7, something like that. But all the rest of the page has got these like scored marks.
Yeah.
And it folds itself into a canvas
Oh, cool.
that can be hung. And I'm like,
Nice.
that's so cool. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I sent your mom a note already. But yeah, I'm excited to try that stuff out.
She also sent cookies and English muffins.
I don't think I got the English muffins from you. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. They weren't in the freezer. They were in the bag. So yeah, I put those in the freezer. I've got
I was like, you better have, because I don't have any extra
of the bag that she'd already given me before. So it's good timing.
I made Leslie go over to my house and make my pipe strip so that I didn't come home to busted pipes, because she's super kind and did that for me. Because it got below 0 here, which never happens. And they got snow here, and I got no snow where I was,
and
which made me sad.
Now it's 60.
Yep. But I told her that if she went to my house and made my pipe strip, that she could take English muffins out of the freezer.
I didn't take any out of your freezer.
Did you not? Oh.
I don't think so.
Yes, you did. Because I put new ones in.
Oh, yeah, I did. It was the first day, not the day I went back to actually turn off the lights that I shouldn't have left on.
It's fine. Does not matter.
But, yeah. What else? Books.
Yeah.
So,
let me get out my phone.
I read the newest in the Innkeeper series, which came out earlier this month.
So I reread all the Innkeepers and then read that one.
Yeah, it was very good. I like every Alana Andrews book. I really love this series specifically because it deals with a lot of alien cultures in ways that I haven't necessarily seen before.
So part of that book was them on their blog. If you read it in real time, you could vote for who, because it's like a very Bachelorette type thing. You could vote for who got moved off.
Yeah, so I liked that book, of course. And that's sort of an adult paranormal. And then I read King's Captive by K.M. Shea. It was a Kindle Unlimited book. And that was an interesting one because the protagonist, it's a fantasy. And the protagonist has the ability to transform into a cat. And there's like, our world touches the fairy world and elves and that sort of thing. But she sort of gets adopted by the elven king who's not supposed to exist. And if she becomes a human, then, you know, she's worried he'll kill her. And it's a snarky like protagonist. I like it. So there's only the first book out right now. The second one comes out next month. And then I'm currently reading Frost by C.N. Crawford. And this is an adult fantasy, and it's kind of like Bachelor as well, I guess. Like there's an elven king who has to marry someone, but if he ever falls in love, that person dies because of a curse, like, you know, your typical sort of fairy tale stuff. But mixed in with it is like, what's the one where they're on an island and they get voted off? Survivor. So it's sort of like that as well. And I'm listening to a book called Made Things by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And that's just plain fantasy. There's no romantic element to it. And it's about this young puppeteer who has the ability to like imbue magic into things. And it's pretty good. I think I also read Illuminations, which is the newest by T. Kingfisher. I had a little bit of trouble with that one just because the protagonist is so young. She's like 9 or 10, something like that. And I have a harder time like putting myself in the shoes of someone that young. But it was good anyway. I like most of everything Tiki and Fisher writes, so that's what I've been reading and listening to. I've been rewatching, like I said, Call the Midwife. I've watched the first 2 seasons of Taskmaster New Zealand, and I'm on the 3rd. And
I'm getting out my Kindle so I can talk about what I read because I didn't put it in the show notes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bought the new G.A. Aiken, but I haven't read it yet.
Yep.
I'm forcing myself to finish the book.
Leslie's looking at my
Yeah.
Kindle. So I also read all the Innkeeper, including the new one. Innkeeper is adult paranormal, male, female, romance, fantasy, sci-fi.
The newest book doesn't really have any romance in it. I mean, not really. It's sort of bachelorish, but there's not a lot of actual romance. There's no descriptions of, like, adult activity. Yeah.
Okay. G.A. Aiken, the new Blacksmith Queen. So I went back and read the because it's been, I just looked, 2 years in between books. So I read the Blacksmith Queen 4 years ago, and I was getting it confused with the Mercedes Lackey book in my head.
Oh, okay.
So I reread Blacksmith Queen. I'm rereading Princess Knight now, and then I will read the new one, which is The Heretic Royal.
Yeah.
I read a whole series of fantasy male. Let me go backwards. Which is by R. Cooper. A Little Familiar is the first one, then Holly and Oaks the second one, Nevermore is the third, A Little Blessing's the fourth. A Little Blessing does a lot with spinning, weaving, and knitting. They are very...
Do they get it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. They're very, like, witchcraft centered, but, like, Wiccan witchcraft. Like, there's a Holly King and Holly and Oak. So, yeah. And it all takes place in the same town, but a lot of the same protagonists don't appear. You hear them mentioned, but they don't appear. I also was reading the new Kings of the Mountain book by Morgan Bryce, which is male, paranormal, ghost hunting, werewolf hunting type stuff. So yeah, I've been getting my adults reading on for sure. So all of those are adults. The Innkeeper and G.A. Aiken are male, female. The rest are male. So yeah, lots of reading, which was nice. And lots of playing of Wingspan and other actual board games. With my brother-in-law and sister, we played Wingspan with my father and mother as well. Wheezy is not the most patient when it comes to more complicated board games. He's good with, like, Phase 10 type stuff.
Right. Where it doesn't take you
Yahtzee,
like, forever to learn the rules.
But when there are multiple pieces in play, he does not care for that a whole lot. And then we've played Lord of Waters Deep, which is a game that my brother-in-law and sister brought, which was fun. You're a lord and you're trying to get resources and complete quests and stuff for points. So yeah, both of those were fun. And that was it. It was very chill. I went to 2 yarn shops. I went to one in Maryville, Tennessee, which was lovely. Except they had all just had COVID. Like, it was closed for 2 days. They were wearing masks and stuff, but yeah, I didn't want to spend a lot of time just, like, hanging out.
Yeah.
And also, it was, like, the day that weather was supposed to get bad.
Yeah.
And then we went to another yarn shop in Tennessee in, like, what did they call that? Like, the Secret City. It's this area near Knoxville where, they did a lot of nuclear research secretly when they were creating the nuclear bomb.
Awesome.
And now I can't remember the name of it. But, yeah. So, that was a very tiny store. I got 1 skein of yarn and needles, and then some fun tags for Leslie to put in her clothing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about it for me. I've been watching Taskmaster. I've been watching a series, a Miss Murder series on Amazon called Three Pines, which is based on a Louise Penny book series. What else have I been watching? A lot of Death in Paradise. So, and listening to audiobooks. I've been listening to, still continuing my way through Yolanda Andrews' Hidden Legacy series. So, yeah.
Hidden Legacy. Is that the,
It's the one that's set in Texas.
what?
That's the one that's set in Texas with Nevaeh and Mad Rogan.
Oh, Nevada. Okay, yeah, alright, yeah. Okay. Got it. That's the one where there's 6 books out, right?
7.
Oh, is the first one for the new trilogy out?
No, it's a trilogy and then a quartet.
Oh, okay. I thought it
I'm
was
pretty sure.
a trilogy and a trilogy.
Nope.
Cool. I think that's it. Like, I feel like we've been recording for hours. Nope, only 45 minutes.
We have had quite a bit to talk about.
Yeah.
SSK, if you're interested in vending, we are going to close the sign-ups probably by the time this goes live.
Yeah,
on, like,
the first
second.
or 2nd of January. Or if you know someone that you'd like to see vend, you can encourage them to apply to vend.
And then we will pick vendors, and at that point I will start the no-longs, and we will start in the new year the Zooms. So that'll be fun. Be nice to see people.
Yeah, and see new people. We've got Kath from Australia.
Yay! She's not new.
No, she's not new, but she's coming from Australia, so she gets a mention. Oh gosh, who was the lady who emailed me from?
There's a lady from Ireland coming.
Yes, I think that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, so we're just unbelievably flattered and excited to see everyone. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it. We'll have more information about SSK events coming up. We have a Patreon event on Saturday, and Patreon is a way that you can support your favorite creators, not just us, but there are other podcasts. There's writers, musicians, artists.
Tons of people.
Lots of great creative people.
Spinning people. Nitty's on there, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Jillian's on there.
I support Colette Papery, which is one of my favorite places to get cards, like greeting cards, because they're snarky and hilarious.
Fun.
So if you want to support us, you can, and we appreciate it. We're doing a VKN. We typically do it on the last Sunday of the month. That just wasn't possible this year, or this month, but we're doing it on Saturday.
Yep, because I was out of town.
Yeah. So
I should charge my laptop before then.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. But yeah, we'll be doing that tomorrow. And our fail along this month was actually a tour of Laura's mom's studio, which was really cool.
Yep.
And we got to ask her lots of questions. She's got tons of knowledge, so.
Super fun. She joined me for Jillian's Zoom, too, because Jillian said she could.
That's nice.
Which was fun.
Jillian's cool.
She is.
Well, we will talk to you next year.
Yay!
And until
Makes
then,
it sound like it's so far away, but really it's 2 days.
We hope that you have a lovely week and weekend, and we will talk to you again next month.
Look, I'm binding off.
Bye,
Bye, y'all.